Hi, my name is Douglas Hairston, and it's been a privilege working with our video committee made up of Shalia Boyd, Virgil Boyd, Rumal Patel, John Laughlin, Ruth Ellen Homer, who was our leader, and also Frizzell Brown, who was uh, able to work with us for a little bit of time. During this time, we've been able to put together some concepts for the video, and I was asked to share a few slides of the video as well as talk about a few other items. So without further ado, let me share some of the PowerPoint slides that may give you an example of what we're working on. Living a Peaceful Life, as we've put together, of course, it's a part of our Center for Interfaith Cooperation work. Our concept is that we would include young people as those people on the screen. So they would be actually sharing their own voice as well as some of the scripting that we've helped create. Certainly violence is pervasive, and a composite video is going to show images, magazines, covers, and a voiceover from the young people that would read some of the headlines and the newspaper information. And this is an example of what that might look like. Additionally, some of the data from 2019, there was 171 homicides in Indianapolis and Marion County. And this is information that can be updated as we create our video. But we also want people to think of more than just the violence, but people aren't just numbers. They're valued, people that we value very much, and they're part of our relationships, family, friends, and even people from our own faith. Values versus violence, and the breakdown of relationships, and our scripting will go into some of that as well, where we talk about the families and friendships and even problems that we have theologically that turn into violence, as well as by gender, the systems that are within our country, and then trying to find ways to cultivate nonviolence as realities, repairing and restoring and reimagining relationships. And certainly we want people to see themselves in the many different images that we have of violence, not just the victims, but those who are left behind and those who suffer the consequences after a violent act that goes beyond the perpetrator of the violence and the victim, but many times the family and relationships. We also go into what causes violence. And here are some of the basic needs: food, water, shelter, and clothing. Also work, security, the well-being of an individual, and then also the idea of people enjoying being part of a group for some reason, some positive and some negative. But we certainly would want to acknowledge that people join different groups for different reasons, and part of that is the camaraderie and fellowship that they feel. Also, violence can be caused by low self-esteem, as well as those who are seeking justice. They're not causing violence, but they may have violence visited upon them. And people might see this as an aggressive act versus just being a peaceful act of protest. And here is a continuum of why violence may occur, from the physiological needs, safety, love and belonging, self-esteem, and then self-actualization as well. When people feel that our food system is violent, and so that causes violence in our society. Well, as part of what we have done in our committee is we decided to take our discussion beyond the four walls and into the streets. And to that end, we did set up a meeting with our local nonprofit called Young Men's Inc. And Young Men's Inc. started with a few folks just trying to help some young people in the neighborhood. And now they serve over 100 young men during the summertime as well as during spring break. And we pulled together a focus group Our hope was to have a large focus group, but we started with just and have them review some of the same slides that we talked about. We also had them read through some of the scripting, and it was a very positive interaction that we had. We had a dialogue. It was interesting to hear somebody else read the scripting that we put together, and it allowed them to feel the words as well as share within their group of leaders what those words mean to them. And certainly we want to acknowledge that the folks in our committee are a little bit older than the average person that we really want to reach, which our target audience is between 15 and 24. But we want to also let you know that the focus group went really well. Our hope was to do a group with just the leaders and then come back during spring break and work with the young people in Young Men's Inc. And that was just prior to the COVID-19 situation coming about. As a result, I still want to share with you some of their critiques, which mirror some of the critiques that we had internally, which certainly we wanted youth to have an opportunity to change some of the language used in the scripting. The scripting does cover multifaceted dimensions of violence, and so it allows them not just to think of one type of violence or another. We also wanted to create a companion booklet that would go with the video that allows young people to have a deeper discussion with their leaders. And overall statements, are we on the right track? They said yes. And should we follow up with the group of youth? They said yes. They also noted that while they work with young men, they have partnered with groups that work with young women as well. And so I can see a broader partnership that would allow us to have a very effective focus group at a later date. So with that, I just want to also talk about some of our options that we had, certainly with our discussion with Charlie, as well as Judge Shahid. They brought up some opportunities for production. We can talk with production companies that may want to work with us to produce the video. They may even fund it, depending on the relationship that is established with them. It could be a for-profit relationship, but we could also do that not just with a production company. They brought up the university, working with one of the universities locally that have video arts, as well as WFYI. So we're open to those discussions, and we would look forward to seeing how those discussions come about and what the fruit of those discussions would be. And certainly we would rely on our board to give us some leadership as we work as a committee to bring about this production.